Welcome back to Wild Space, everybody. We are here with our weekly update, The Road to Galactics Part 5, counting down the weeks until the Galactic Championship in Vegas for Star Wars Unlimited. Let's see what I got up to this week. All right, after a slow week last week, slow week in games, but not in content. If you haven't seen the limited analysis or limited insight series that I put up, feel free to go check that out. Tons of information from the playtesting and armchair playtesting that I did for limited. And so while it was an off week last week for games played, there was a lot of learning that happened, so that was good. This week, on the other hand, there was a lot of games played. I got up to over 100 games of Premiere. Still managed to squeeze in a couple drafts, which was good. And I would say probably a third of those Premier games were what I would call quality reps, where it's best of threes, start looking at sideboards and lines of play and how matchups can be, shifted depending on what cards we add to the deck. And I think my goal was to have a deck picked by the end of this week. I'm not quite there yet, but we're getting close. So let's look at the candidates. So right now I have Luke Dedeville, Cad Bane blue, and Boba Fett yellow as decks that I am considering. There was a few other options I'm going to mention briefly later, but first let's take a look at these specifically and why I am considering them. So first up, Cad Bane. This deck has impressed me with just how good it is. I did not think when the leader was first previewed that it would be this impactful. I thought the restriction on the ping to have at least 2 HP would be more of a drawback than it is, but it turns out that one extra free damage every turn really allows you to make good trades, get control of the board, and get to the late game where you have just like this super consistent package of like Cad Flip into Crab Droid and Ninth Sister into Chimera into Pre-Vizsla, and games just feel every time I was testing against Cad and they played Pre-Vizsla, it felt so demoralizing. And every time I was playing Cad and I played Pre-Vizsla, I was like, oh my gosh, this card is crazy. So the other thing that's really nice about it is that there's a lot of overlap in what the cards do that are in the deck. So it's really consistent. It's not very often that you'll get a bad draw or you won't see the right cards, right? Like sometimes other decks have different game plans. Cat has one game plan. He's going to do the same thing and he's going to do it very well. So the downside is I have never been a person that likes playing the most popular deck. I don't like to go into a tournament thinking that everybody's going to be gunning to beat me. Man, while Cad Bane still might be faster than them, it still is not a comfortable position. So that's the one thing that gives me pause. The other thing is that I would need a ton of reps into the mirror. I imagine you would play a lot of mirrors if you bring this deck, and so that's something that you would have to be very practiced in because it can be quite tricky. All right, another option here is Luke. Luke Dadavolt is just like a blue-green hero good stuff deck, similar to the old Yoda Dadavolt. The leader is a little less impactful as far as like stabilizing the board, removing units, but he does stabilize your health total if you are behind. The CAD, one of the reasons I like Luke is that the CAD matchup feels really good. The leader ability essentially counters CAD's leader ability. they ping you, you get initiative, you attack, you heal off the ping right away. And that really messes up CAD's math, and it makes the game feel much more fair as opposed to other leaders. Um, Also, resupply carrier, if you can play that on 6, so you flip Luke the same turn that they flip CAD, that feels really strong as the Luke player. It just is more pressure than they can handle at that time, a lot of the time. The deck also plays Ray, which is a nightmare for these blue, green, blue, red villain decks to deal with. And so anytime you get her on the board, that's great. And then lastly, you have the best answer to Pre-Vizsla in Bo-Katan. So if they Pre-Vizsla, take a couple units off the board, get a couple Mando tokens. Next turn you can Bo-Katan, wipe those Mando tokens out, and buff something up. So it has a lot of play lines into CAD that make the matchup feel quite good. The other thing that is nice about this deck is that it can grind against all those other blue-green villain decks that are out there. And so, is it the biggest deck in the meta? Maybe not. Some of the decks like Piet or like Krennic that are playing Ravager and then other big stuff, that can be an issue sometimes, but I think Luke is in a good enough position where those matchups don't feel completely out of reach. The downside is this deck and blue-green hero in general really doesn't have a good comeback mechanism. If you lose the board and get behind, it's so hard to catch up. It's just really, really tough to come back from that position. And then the other thing, because of Data Vault, because you're kind of committed to like being a little bit wary of the space decks and playing around so many things, you do have games where you kind of see the wrong half of your deck, if you can say that, or you don't see the right cards, or you only have 3 Bo-Katans in 60 cards and you didn't draw it in time. So those sorts of things can happen. And lastly, we've got Boba Fett. I've been playing Boba Fett Yellow instead of Boba Fett Lake Country. I just like some of the yellow cards and the options that they give you. Playing Lake Country feels like an autopilot deck, and yellow feels a little bit more like there's some decisions. That said, you can see they're listed. I have the cons. It's still very linear. You're still trying to, you're essentially just an aggro deck, and there's not a lot other than that. But this deck just feasts on control, so all those decks that are trying to go bigger than CAD, those feel really free most of the time. Against other just kind of mid-rangey decks, Topple is still completely broken, so if you can stick a ship and flip Boba into Topple, that's going to win you games as well. The lack of card draw on the deck is sometimes problematic because you can get into situations where you're just top decking, and that doesn't feel great. Whereas with Luke, I feel like that's not the case, and with CAD, there's not draw in the deck per se, but you get a lot of 2-for-1s, and the ping adds up to card advantage, so you feel like you have options often. So right now, those are the 3 that I'm considering, and we will have to get a bunch more practice with them in before I can kind of make a call. Lastly, 2 other decks that I was looking at, Aura, just because blue-green villain is also very good right now, and being able to play something like Ravagers is great, although maybe it's better at a Piet, I'm not sure, maybe it's better at a Krennic. I like Aura because of the resilience that she gives you against some of those faster decks that might be trying to come after the big decks in the meta, so those aggro decks. Her ability kind of helps you stay alive with those. And then Grief is a deck that is just like so good into like any average mid-rangey pile. Like he's just going to ambush every unit you have and kill them and slowly take over the game. I have not yet figured out a really good line of play into CAD, which is why I'm kind of shelving it right now. but it is one that I might revisit. I do like Yellow Green Hero as an aspect combination, so we'll have to see. As far as what's coming up, this week is going to be another little bit of slower week for me as far as games played. That's just I work shift work, so that's just the way it works out some weeks. But I am hoping to get some more detailed deck videos coming out before Galactics on some of these candidates, since I will be playtesting with them a lot, learning a lot about them, and yeah, hopefully just go in depth with like card options, matchup breakdowns, different lines of play, and really, yeah, share that information with everyone to help you prepare as well. Let me know how your testing's going, what you like, what you are not liking. Until next time, enjoy the journey.